The flames coming from the left and the right.
This was not pack up and go.
We're engulfed in 15-foot high, massive fire flames.
This was run for your life.
I thought the car would blow up.
Tonight at 6, a family recounts their escape from the Cowwood fire.
Plus, dire warnings as Colorado's COVID situation grows worse.
We cannot go on as we have been. The status quo is not acceptable.
Boulder decides the kids are all right after all. CSU finds out there are no makeup days in the Mountain West.
And a Littleton man is taken to court by the surgeon who saved his life.
I had gotten a notice that I was being sued by the surgeon.
There are close calls, and then there is this. Ooh, a Boulder County couple escaped the Cowwood fire by the skin of their teeth, and they have likely lost everything but their lives.
Dozens of people will spend the next several months, if not years, rebuilding from that fire, and it is still not even close to being contained. Denver7's Ivan Rodriguez begins our coverage tonight. Ivan?
And Shannon, good evening. We've seen these plumes of smoke all day. Behind me right now, you can actually see a helicopter carrying some water. They've been coming all day, making their rounds, pouring in the water from the lake and taking it back to the ridge with the mountains. Earlier today, I spoke with many people who were forced to evacuate and lost their homes, and they never expected this fire to be so devastating.
Mainly
30 years of history piled into one suitcase.
These mean everything to us because this is the story of our lives. This is our wedding photo here, literally just back up here in the Boulder foothills.
Memories Brian DeToy and his wife were able to escape with before evacuating their home.
Sometimes in the dark of night, Cheryl and I will cry and we'll hug and hold and talk about the things that were lost. And a lot of those things are small things, be small to most people, but even to us, the little things, notes from children, notes, first pictures, a lock of hair from a first haircut, things that cannot be replaced.
Vases from Vietnam, rugs from India, and artwork from his mother-in-law, all sitting in the living room of his friend's home.
I mean, that's what history is anyway, too. History is the memory of a people, a civilization, a nation. This is a memory of us from the time before.
This has been a lot of crying and sadness.
Arthur and his wife know the pain all too well. They also lost their home and had to drive through towering flames to get out alive.
As we're coming down the road, I said, oh my God, the flames coming from the left and the right, and we're engulfed in 15-foot high, massive fire flames, red everywhere. You couldn't see the road, you couldn't see through the windshield.
When they're finally able to return and see what's left, the memory of what used to be there could be too hard to bear.
I don't know if I want to go up there and see that. I really don't.
The cause of the Cowwood fire is still under investigation. There is going to be a virtual community meeting tonight at 7:30 where many people are hoping to hear when and if they'll be able to return home. Live in Boulder County, Ivan Rodriguez, Denver7.
So heartbreaking. Ivan, thanks. And citing unprecedented conditions, the U.S. Forest Service will now close off lands in Clear Creek, Jefferson, Gilpin, Boulder, and Larimer counties, and that takes effect at midnight. It's a result not only of the Cowwood, but the Left Hand Canyon and Cameron Peak fire. Left Hand now has burned 470 acres of land. This is just a mile, though, out of the town of Ward, and it's only 4% contained. And Cameron Peak is just as bad as ever. 205,000 acres burned, by far the largest in Colorado history, and containment actually slid back just 51% tonight, and more than 100 buildings have been damaged or destroyed.
And so many of us have opened our hearts to the victims of these fires, and tonight we're happy to say many of you are opening your checkbooks as well. $6,000 raised through the Denver7 Gives Fund since yesterday, so please, let's keep it coming. Head to thedenverchannel.com and please give to your heart's content. Remember when we thought we had it bad at 500 or 600 cases of coronavirus? Boy, those were the days.
Yeah, it sure seems. 1,200 cases confirmed this evening. And we've had a lot of questions about the role of testing in this recent spike. And yes, testing certainly is part of the reason we're seeing more cases now than we saw in the spring. But that has nothing to do with the number of hospital beds being occupied. You don't check yourself into a hospital because you tested positive for COVID-19. You check yourself in because you're suffering with symptoms of a virus that has now killed more than 221,000 people in the United States. And Governor Polis again saying tonight there's only one sure way to turn this around, and we're running out of time to do it.
We just have this short window of time to get this back under control before the holiday season, and we need to do it. Every one of us needs to really ask ourselves, what is our resolve to avoid unnecessary loss of life. Could be your uncles or aunts, your sisters or brothers, could even be your own. But also avoid the economic setbacks.
The holidays are by far the best opportunity for this virus to spread, and experts know that people are going to go ahead and visit with their extended families regardless of what they recommend. So they are really hoping to get the numbers down before we hit late November and December.
Two very popular Denver hangouts have been cited for COVID safety violations. Avanti was ticketed over a lack of social distancing. Hillstone and Cherry Creek got the same treatment for packing in 17 more people than allowed. Diners were also too close together. To date, Denver has handed out 206 citations. 13 businesses were briefly closed.
Once Colorado's problem child, Boulder actually is loosening restrictions on young adults tonight. The health department says 18 to 22-year-olds have committed themselves there to stopping the spread of COVID, and the numbers show it. So from here on out, they are allowed to gather in groups of 10, just like everybody else in Boulder County.
Aurora has laid out a 5-point plan to reform its police department. It's called A New Way, excuse me, and it involves an exhaustive external review, creating a more diverse leadership team, and hearing directly from people in the communities about their past interactions with police.
Councilmember Angela LAWSON telling us today Aurora's new program is a step in the right direction. Meanwhile, she's making moves of her own. Monday night, one of her proposals passed and made Aurora the first city in Colorado to ban no-knock warrants. The Aurora Police Association has been critical of the move, telling our partners at the Denver Post it takes away a valuable tool for law enforcement. And so here's how LAWSON responded to that.
I think the no-knock policy proposes a severe risk to officers as well as occupants and any others happens to be in nearby. And I would pose this question to them. What if you're in your home and someone comes into your home unannounced? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to protect yourself.
The union did not make itself available for an interview today. Aurora Police promised us a statement, but they have yet to provide one.
The first time a Littleton man met his surgeon was as she was saving his life. The second time may be in court. Liz Gilardi has tonight's cost of care.
This is basically a synopsis of when I came in, everything that occurred during the surgery.
As Jim Jacobs looks through this paperwork, he never imagined he would be fighting this medical bill 2 years later.
Wednesday that week, I had some abdominal pains. I got sick to my stomach. I left my office around noon.
Jim's doctor sent him to the emergency room. He went to Littleton Adventist Hospital, where he says several tests showed his appendix had ruptured. He needed emergency surgery.
The doctor actually was wonderful. And she probably saved my life.
But until he received the bill, he had no idea the surgeon wasn't in network. Now he could have to pay for the surgery out of his own pocket.
It's not a $50 bill, it's a $5,000 bill.
And he doesn't think it's right.
I don't understand how a hospital can have a surgeon working in an ER, not in network, so that this occurs for their patients after the fact that the patient's insurance company won't pay the surgeon.
Contact Denver7 reached out to the hospital and Jim's insurance company. A spokesperson for that health insurance company tells Denver7 they will investigate the surprise billing, but they need more time. Littleton Adventist said in a statement, it appears the bill the patient received is from a contracted provider who is not employed by Centura Health. These independent practitioners do not always share the same contractual agreements with insurance carriers that we have at Centura Health. And this practice is explained in the hospital service agreement patients sign at the time of service. Jim says it gets worse. Not only does he owe $5,000, this battle ended up in court.
Earlier this year, I had gotten a notice that I was being sued by the surgeon for the full amount of the invoice that she had sent to the insurance company.
So Jim is making yet another plea to the insurance company and the hospital to take a closer look at this bill as he faces a lawsuit from the surgeon who saved his life.
I have been going around and around with the insurance company, and again, they fall back on the fact that the doctor was out of network.
Liz Gilardi, Denver7.
CSU was ready to play its first game of the season. Coronavirus had other plans.
Do political yard signs start a conversation? Sure, just not one you probably want to have.
Still, the air quality advisory is in effect because of the wildfire smoke, but there is some moisture in the forecast.